Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. As I speak right now, gold is about $2,400 an ounce. And for the purposes of calculations in this video, let's calculate how much that is per kilogram. There are 32.15 troy ounces in a kilogram. Keep that number in the back of your head, 77,000, because we're going to look at what a fair price of gold should be if gold were just like any other metal, right? So I'll let you pause the video to think about, pretend for a second humans never thought of using gold as a currency. What metal would it be similar to in our industrial society? I'll let you pause the video to think about that, right? Well, right off the bat, we can probably eliminate most of the common metals, right? Everything in the fourth period and above can probably go. Now, the fifth period is kind of interesting. It has a bunch of unstable elements at the left-hand side of the table. Now, let's do some math. Let's take an element that might be similar to gold. I would argue the first one on the periodic table, if we exclude all the precious metals that are being highly inflated, would probably be indium and tin. Right? Nobody uses indium and tin as currency, and except for me and maybe some of my viewers, nobody invests in it. But it has technological use just like gold, right? So right now as I speak, I believe the end of the adapter for my laptop is coated in gold. And inside the laptop itself, there's some soldering made of tin. So you can make the case that aside from gold being currency and tin not, they have some similarities, right? And we know what the price of tin is, right? Right now, today, as I speak, the price of, I downloaded this from Wikipedia, by the way, the price of tin recently was $18.7 per kilogram. There's a good premium on it if you try to buy it physically, right? Obviously, just like with gold. So the math is really easy. We also know how much tin there is in the ground, right? It is about 2.3 parts per million in the Earth's crust. For gold, I believe it's 0.004 parts per million. So the math is relatively easy. Take 18.7, multiplied by 2.3, and divide by 0.004. And that gives us an equivalent gold price of 10,752.5, right? If gold were traded similar to tin, right, and it has similar uses in electronics, and where else is tin used? I know it used to be used in dental amalgam fillings, right, just like gold was, right? Nowadays, amalgam is being phased out because mercury, which is a part of it, is toxic, and so are a bunch of other metals that went into the amalgam. We'll get to that in a second. Tin probably isn't the healthiest thing to put in your mouth either, right? And so, similarly for indium, if we assumed gold were traded just like indium, and indium has a lot more political risk than gold, by the way, so indium really should be more valuable. Gold would be about $10,000 a kilogram. But I would argue this is probably as close to a fair price as you could probably get, right? These two numbers agree so much with each other. Antimony is not nearly as prevalent in technology at the moment. I think its use as a semiconductor has yet to see its full potential. Tellurium is used in solar panels, and it occurs only 0.001. It's one of the rarest metals in the Earth's crust, if you can believe it. It might not be a metal, by the way. It's a semi-metal. Right now it's going for $63.5 per kilogram. And if gold were priced similarly to how we price tellurium, gold would be $16 a kilogram, right? Obviously, there's a lot of volatility in the tellurium market, right? Which is why I recommend a small amount of your portfolio. You only need a small amount of tellurium in your portfolio to do wonders if one of these. Periodically, it does like 100-bagger or even 1,000-bagger, right? If we go down further, iodine is an interesting one. It's used in healthcare. I take iodine myself, sodium iodide, for mental health purposes, and this kind of scares me that the amount of iodine in the ground is as low as it is. Right. Fortunately, we have good biological miners of iodine. Right. What we call seaweed. Right. Which biologically mine iodine from the sea for us. Right. We may have something like that for gold one or other metals one day. Then we come to the rare earth metals. Now, the rare earth metals, despite their name, are not rare. They're difficult to isolate from each other. That's very different from gold, right? If you had a mixture of gold and a bunch of its neighbors, like mercury and platinum, it would not be hard to isolate the gold from them, right? There's YouTube videos of people purifying 18 karat gold, right? Some of it might contain platinum, which is right next door, right? So that's not hard to do at all. So this is a very different animal. And even then, with very few exceptions, right, they suggest gold prices should be a little bit lower, some of them a little bit higher, but that's because we don't have market to scale, right? Dysprosium and terbium are used in such small amounts that if you need to use them, you have to put up with a high price, right? They're very different animals from gold, not even comparable, in my opinion. Tantalum, I gotta correct this. Let's take the high number. Tantalum is used in rocket engines, and again, not very comparable to gold, right? It's got a high melting point. Tungsten, not comparable. And rhenium, I would argue that's a very different animal than gold as well, right? It's used in rocket engines, aerospace, not the kind of stuff that you would see in your consumer electronics. But even then, tungsten and rhenium are telling us that gold should be anywhere from $700 to $10,000 an ounce. Tantalum is a little bit more obscure. Actually, am I reading this right? And then you got iridium, which is a very corrosion-resistant element, just like, I would argue it's more similar to platinum than to gold. It doesn't dissolve in aqua regia. It's used in, believe it or not, during the COVID crisis, if you wanted to make a bleach solution with electrolysis, iridium electrodes would be the best thing for that because they don't disintegrate. And iridium and platinum are, not surprisingly, are telling us that gold is way overvalued, right? And then you come to my favorite, which I like to call crystalline gold, right? Which is about the closest thing there is to gold in terms of properties and in terms of rarity. And bismuth, right? Thallium is toxic. A bunch of that price is basically hazard pay, right? It's not market price. And then you come to bullet gold and crystalline gold, and both of them are telling us that gold should be, for crystalline gold, $1,431. For bullet gold, and again, a bunch of this is probably hazard pay for the people who have to mine bullet gold, right? $7,000. Even then, it's only telling us that gold should be $7,000 a kilogram, right? So I like to think of gold as a 5,000-year-old cryptocurrency that everybody has suddenly piled into. There have been times in recent history where gold was much more fairly priced, right? In 2000, in the early 1970s. I'll let you do this chart on your own for any of those time periods. Gold was probably a lot more fairly priced, right? I do recommend holding some gold, but if gold is the only metal in your portfolio, you are far from taking a safe haven position by buying precious metals, right? I hate how gold has become synonymous with precious metals, right? You need a basket of metals, in my opinion, these days, right? Especially crystalline gold, in my opinion. This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.